Jamie Robertson here, and this is the first in a series of videos I'm doing to demonstrate the features of the new WAV Trigger Pro, which should be available on the SparkFun website by the time you see this. The WAV Trigger Pro is optimized for use with USB MIDI, and this first demo is simply playing musical instrument sounds or samples from your USB MIDI keyboard. We'll introduce the concept of presets, which is a way to map sounds or WAV files to MIDI keys, and to control the performance parameters such as attack, decay, looping, and even pitch. So let's get started. The WAV Trigger Pro offers a number of ways to control sound, but this demo is primarily focused on USB MIDI. By default, the WAV Trigger Pro is a USB MIDI device, which means you can plug it into a computer, whether it's a Mac, Windows, Linux, or even a Raspberry Pi, and it will show up as a class-compliant MIDI output device. Alternate firmware turns the WAV Trigger Pro into the MIDI host. No computer required. You can plug your keyboard or MIDI control surface directly into the WAV Trigger Pro. Now, normally you'd use your computer's digital audio workstation software to route MIDI from your keyboard to an output device. But to keep things simple, and for this demo, I'm going to use an open source utility called MIDI-OX. And it will allow me to select an input device and an output device is the WAV Trigger Pro. The input is my keyboard. And it'll do the routing and also display the events on its monitor window, which can be really useful. And then here on my desktop, you can see I have my MIDI keyboard plugged into my computer's USB port, sustain pedal, the WAV Trigger Pro also plugged into a USB port on my computer, and audio output. That's it. Both devices get power over USB. On the WAV Trigger Pro's micro SD card, I put a set of stereo samples covering 3 octaves for piano, strings, and organ, along with 4 presets that determine what sounds get mapped to what keys, along with their performance parameters like attack, release, looping, pitch, etc. You can head over to the Robertsonics website and look for the WAV Trigger Pro examples page. And you scroll down to keyboard example, and I provided links for both the original presets in Google Sheets form and also an SD card image, which you can download, unzip, and copy to an otherwise empty micro SD card, pop it in your WAV Trigger Pro, and you'll have the exact same demo running. Because this is a demo and not a tutorial, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on the presets here, but just to give you an idea, there's 4 presets. The first preset maps the 3 octaves of piano to the corresponding notes on the keyboard. Preset 2 does the same thing for the string sound with a longer attack and also enables pitch bending. Preset 3 does the same thing for the organ sound, and then preset 4 allows you to play a combination of piano and strings panned slightly left and right to create a stereo field. When the WAV Trigger Pro powers up or is reset, it looks for and loads preset number 1, which should be the piano. Now, in all the presets, all 4 of them, I've programmed these 4 keys to switch between the presets, which allows me to control what sounds I have available from the keyboard itself. Now, I'm not a keyboard player, so please forgive my poor performance, but let's hear what the piano sounds like. Preset 2 calls up the strings. Which respond to MIDI pitch bend. But the piano does not. Preset 3 is an organ, and I'm going to go up 1 octave here. And preset 4 is the combination of strings and piano panned slightly left and right. A couple of things I'd like to point out before we finish up. No doubt there's a bunch of you looking at the screen trying to figure out what the latency is. That's the time between when I press a note and sound comes out. The WAV Trigger Pro's audio buffer is half the size of the original WAV Trigger and Tsunami. So the latency is on average 2.5 milliseconds, and worst case about 4 milliseconds. Secondly, I've used the USB device firmware that ships with the WAV Trigger Pro for this demo. I could have just as easily used the USB host version and everything would have been exactly the same, except I wouldn't have needed my computer. The keyboard would be plugged directly into the WAV Trigger Pro. I could use the same micro SD card with the same sounds and the same presets. I'll use this version in the next video where I'll use percussion sounds and the Launchpad grid controller for a percussion example. I'll put links to the things I've used here in the description below, and we'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.